now going to cross to Westminster. The Shadow Chancellor, Sir Mel Stride, joined us now. I'm delighted to say, always good to talk to him. And you're a man, I would say, who will be in very good form so far this week, Mel, because everything is going your way, in the way of the Conservatives and against the government. It's not looking good for them. Where do we begin? What do you make of this Richard Hughes resignation, first of all? Should he go alone, or should the Chancellor go with him?
Well, good morning, Eamon. The Chancellor should resign. Now, Richard Hughes' departure, one can understand in terms of the serious errors that were made at the OBR, but nonetheless, I think there's more than sort of circumstantial evidence that the relationship between him and Rachel Reeves and the lack of support from the Chancellor for him at this particular moment has been part of the story of him leaving his position. But look, the real story here, not to get distracted too much by the OBR, is that of course the Chancellor called that press conference on the 4th of November, stood up and told the public that there was a huge great black hole in the public finances, and we now know, thanks to Richard Hughes and the information that he brought forward into the public domain on Friday, that simply was not true. That in fact the previous forecast that the OBR provided on the 31st of October had shown that actually she was in a surplus against her fiscal target. So it was a complete misrepresentation of the true position, and also divulging various elements actually of market sensitive information in a way that should not have happened, given that the conversations and interactions between the OBR and the Treasury and others should be strictly confidential. So I think the Chancellor's position herself here is now untenable.
Do you think that she's broken ministerial code?
Sorry. I'm sorry, Ellie.
Can you hear me now? Do you think that the Chancellor has broken ministerial code?
Yes, I can. Yep. Well, that would be a matter for Laurie Magnus to decide whether he thinks an investigation, an inquiry into that is appropriate. But I have written to the Financial Conduct Authority on this whole issue of market abuse and market manipulation, because we are looking at a situation where on the face of it, it appears that the Chancellor, as I was saying, has stood up and misrepresented the situation regarding the public finances. That is dealing in the area of market sensitive information, and I think there should now be an inquiry, an investigation by the Financial Conduct Authority into what has happened here.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBNews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Well, as you say, it is market-sensitive information, isn't it? And what we also found out from this review from the National Cybersecurity Centre, which was looking into the publication of the OBR's report last week, they found that this isn't the first time that this has happened. It was also accessed early in March as well. So the Office for Budget Responsibility doesn't sound very responsible at this point. Do you have confidence in the OBR, and is it fit for purpose?
Well, clearly the fact that this happened, and as you rightly say, it appears that there was possibly a leak back in the time of the spring statement in March, and maybe even before that, that's now being looked into, is totally and utterly unacceptable. It's the most serious breach with the OBR since it was formed 15 years ago. But I don't think that should detract from the importance of the OBR itself. They are there to mark the Chancellor's homework. They are there to make those forecasts on an independent basis, and it's important that they act independently and that it's not the Treasury that fulfills that function, because markets have to have confidence in the information and the kind of assessments that currently the OBR makes, and that they are serious and solid assessments of our economic performance, not tainted by political judgment or the objectives of the Treasury at that particular time. Because if the OBR is not seen to be independent and able to do its job as a strong institution in our financial architecture, then we'll pay higher amounts of interest on our borrowing. So there would be a penalty for that. So I think the OBR itself is a really important institution, and we need to see it strong and independent.
We're seeing this morning, Mel, and the Bank of England, they've come out with a financial stability report, all of which looks very, very good. Can the Chancellor take any credit for that?
Well, no, the position with the public finances is very weak and much weaker than it should have been, because you've had a government that's come in having said they wouldn't put up taxes but slapped lots of taxes, particularly on businesses, that has killed growth, and all the forecasts that we've had from the OBR and the recent report are that growth in subsequent years is going to be down on where they thought it was going to be back in the spring. They talked down the economy, if you remember, with this fictitious £22 billion black hole that extinguished the animal spirits in the economy. They borrowed and spent a lot of money, which has stoked inflation. That's kept interest rates higher for longer. They're mounding up lots of debt, and the servicing costs on that debt are now running at £100 billion, or twice what we spend on defence. And what we've seen in this latest budget is actually taking a lot of money now from hard-working people by way of extra tax and spending it on welfare, and those are the wrong priorities, and they're not going to be good for the economic health or the well-being of people up and down the country, I'm afraid.
Just before you let you go this morning, Mr. Stride, can we ask you about the ending of jury trials, other than for the most serious cases of murder, rape and manslaughter? Obviously concerns about what this means for democracy. It's laid out in the Magna Carta in 1215, isn't it, that people have a right to a trial of their peers. David Lammy, speaking to the media and also writing in the Telegraph today, saying that courts cannot cling on to jury trials for the sake of tradition. What do you make of those comments from the Justice Secretary?
Well, I think to dismiss the centuries-long situation where we've had jury trials as hanging on to tradition is a little bit perverse. I think it's a very, very important element of maintaining confidence in our judicial system. And there is an alternative to what he's doing, and that is to not be spending an extra £16 billion on benefits for people who are not in work, but actually putting perhaps some of that resource into speeding up and extending the period over which courts sit so we can get through this backlog. It's the wrong choice.
Kemi Badenoch, just want to quickly ask you about Kemi Badenoch. You were, the day of the budget, and there you were on the front bench and whatever. You looked to me as if you were enjoying what she was saying. How good was she?
I think she was on fire. And I think, firstly, she had a very good understanding of what was like to happen. Understanding of economics and what's happening is very, very good. But secondly, I think the more she got into it and the more she heard what Rachel Reeves was saying, the more she got fired up and the more nimble she became. And I think both at the dispatch box, but equally, if you remember her party conference speech, a fantastic speech at the end of that conference. And I think she's going from strength to strength.
Sir Mel, really appreciate your comments today. Thanks for joining us. See you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.